Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect One Word Conversations. One Word Conversations is a self-discovery, relationship building conversation designed to help you look at your language to see how your language is causing you to connect or disconnect. I've learned very quickly that sometimes we can come up with some of the most beautiful words, but if someone um, has a story or an expectation to that word, you can cause disconnection really quick. Um, One way that I spotlight what's available at IamWilliamBrown.com is our U cards. Our U cards are intention setting cards. They're a game, and they're also used to help prompt you in your journaling. So you can go to I Am William Brown, the store, and get your U cards today. And there's a lot of other things there too. So this is season 3. This is episode 270. Yesterday I thought was episode 270. It was actually 269, but today is episode 270. So I'm very excited about moving into the third season and what we're going to do. So this is the moment where I invite you to like, share, comment, ask questions, subscribe, do all those things to let me know that this conversation is of value to you. And yeah, just let me know how I'm doing. Sometimes I've been told in the past that I'm just a talker, right? It's like I want to add value to your life. So we can just go from there. So the word of today for this conversation is reinvention. So reinvention, it's kind of interesting because this word came up differently for me today. It's always been a positive word for me. And today it showed up differently. So I want, it may come up within the conversation that we have, but as I do, I invite a friend and we have a conversation. Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing great. This is the moment that I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable to them.
Well, Bill, I am Yolanda Johnson-Bryant. I'm currently residing in Texas. If you ask me what I do for a living or what I did for a living, it would take all day. So currently at the moment, I am a semi-retired author, photographer, but I am trying to reinvent myself. But
Okay.
I am currently still doing marketing. I do help a few clients with publishing, clients that I've had from way back. And I am excuse me, sorry, I am a content creator, specifically on Instagram and YouTube, and I am an influencer for Amazon. And I am raising my granddaughter and homeschooling her with my husband here in Texas. That's the
Oh,
short.
wonderful. That's the short one, and that's and there's so much more to that. So, so let's just get at it. So, how does the word reinvention show up for you now?
It shows up as a challenge, but a welcome challenge for me at this
Hmm.
point in my life. I am of 50 something age, 50 plus and fabulous. And, and about 8 to 10 years ago, I had a plan for my life.
Hmm.
And we all know that when we make plans, God laughs, right?
Right.
So 8 to 10 years ago, my life did not look like it did right now. So those plans 8 to 10 years ago were going to be to retire by the time I turn 50. My husband is older than I am, so he is in retirement stage or age. And so we decided, okay, are we going to retire in Florida or are we going to retire in Texas?
Hmm.
So we hadn't decided fully. We visited both states. Of course, I've lived here before and my family is from here, but I'm not. But knowing that I've lived here before, I thought it was a good decision. Florida was a good decision also, that's where we had our honeymoon. So
Oh.
we had these plans for 8 to 10 years down the road. And then I was given the task to take care and raise my granddaughter.
Hmm.
Everything changed. Everything. So she's 10 now. We got her when she was 3. And so we decided that instead of moving to Florida and just buying a boat and doing all that kind of stuff, it
Right.
was more
Retirement stuff, right?
right. It was more responsible to move to Texas. And there were several reasons why we moved to Texas. And we might possibly get into that later.
Right.
However, what I'm finding now is because once I start raising her, homeschooling her, and then putting her back and forth in public school, I had to put my business aside. You and I know each other personally. You know me
Mhm.
from North Carolina. You know all the hats that I wore.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I had to put all that aside and just because I couldn't effectively focus on her and her education. And I'm a
Right.
big stickler for education. That
Yep.
was my number one focus for her, and to make sure that she was safe and that she had a chance at life and that she became a productive adult citizen.
Right.
So now that she's 10, we're in Texas. We're still homeschooling now, but I'm going to put her, it is our plan, put it that way, to
Right.
put her in public school this fall. Okay, so we're in Texas now. My husband, he's gonna work for a couple more years, but he's at work. She's gonna be at school. What am I gonna do? I by no means anyone's life. So
Right.
what am I gonna do? So I'm finding myself reinventing myself. I
Mm.
love writing. However, it's not a passion for me right now as it was
Mm.
once before. I
Right.
love photography. I want to get back in that. I love this content creating thing.
Right.
So I can maybe focus more on that. But you also know me, one or two things are not going to quench my thirst for
Right.
entrepreneurship. So
Right.
I have to reinvent myself after 50
Right.
because I'm an old coot. You know, people are going to listen more to the millennials or want to deal with the millennials than they are going to want to deal with someone from back in the day. So that's why
Right.
I'm trying to reinvent myself.
No, that is great. The one thing that I remember from our time in North Carolina, is that, how you were saying you're a stickler for education. You're also a stickler for the use of the English language, and that was probably your biggest slam on me. You were always, it's like, are you just making up words or or something? So it's just fascinating that after all these years, I have this show that that I do one word, right? So and I think I've said to other people, the reason why I do one word conversations is because when I have too many words, it just gets crazy, right? So let's do one word at a time, right? But no, I really, for me, reinvention, um, it's like a do-over, right? It's an opportunity to say, you know what, this was fine, this was good, but let's kind of do this again. If
Right.
the questions that we get asked, you know, if you could go back to a certain time and had all this information, what year would you go back and all that other kind of stuff? And I just, I don't want to go back, right? But I want to be able to, now that I'm present in my life, I can create my life. I can decide my life instead of just saying that, you know, I was in technology for all these years. So, I have to do something in technology. Um, and it's been tough for me because, I moved from technology to being a self-awareness coach. And so I have friends, that are very supportive and want to see me successful. They go, what the hell? What? It's like, where does technology show up there? And it does sometimes within my coaching, show up. But most of the times I really have really no interest in technology in a sense that how people are using it, not using it, or blaming people for it. And so this reinvention, of myself is just looking at what was, myself as it came up in the U cards of, I am purpose, right? that I am here for a reason. We are here for a reason. And we came whole and complete. And we're just figuring out, how, what our completeness is. And so, the other thing that, when you're talking about plans, God laughs, and there is a quote that's attributed to Mike Tyson's, like, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Yeah,
And I was
I've got,
confused.
right. I've gotten punched in the face many times, and it's maybe because of my plan, right? But yeah, it's just really stepping into and recognizing that the reinvention is a part of life when you show up for your life. And and it's like we give, from my Christian faith, there's a scripture that says, we die daily, so we're like, we start all over, every day. We reinvent ourselves. Sometimes, it's a long ass day, right? Right. But right. But yeah. So, what are you most excited about? What's coming and what is for you?
I don't know if I'm so excited.
Oh, you're not there yet, right?
I'm not there yet. I welcome the challenge. I wouldn't be lying if I said I was not a little bit fearful. I
Right.
am, because I'm in a new state. Although I have been here before, it's been almost 15 years since I've been here. Things have changed tremendously here. So,
Right.
um, you know, I have a few things that I've been working with. I want to go back to school, and it's just like everything is just so. It's kind of I'm right now. There are different stages.
Hmm.
So right now I'm at the overwhelming stage.
Hmm.
I'm
Got it.
coming off the overwhelming stage and stage saying, look, in the world today, nothing is not promised. Nothing's
Right.
promised. So you better figure it out real quick. So
Right.
January 1, I start figuring out, okay, I'm looking to work in possibly real estate, but
Hmm.
I have real estate friends. And although I love the glory and the glam of going out and showing people's houses, I've gone with people and I realized that's not necessarily what I want to do. And if you know anything about me, Bill, you know I'm a behind the scenes person.
Right.
So I was
Make
having
it happen.
exactly. So I was thinking about becoming and I probably shouldn't even say this. I
Uh-oh.
don't
Put it
want
out
to
there
steal
in the
my
universe.
idea, but I'll put it this way: working with realtors. I'll just keep it
Mm.
that way. So
Okay. Right.
behind the scenes. So I'm looking into that, and then this content creator thing. Now I will say I'm excited about that. We've been doing this for years. I actually did this before we had the family channel. I was doing the Toastmaster speeches on it and
Right.
showing people how to do things that in regards to technology.
Right.
But this year we are going to really up the marketing, up the just up the channel on our family channel and my personal channel. Just kind of dive deep into that and try to make that work. So what
Right.
I'm gonna try not to do
Hmm.
is do 20 things at one time.
Right.
We're trying to do the three things: the content creating, the photography, which goes hand in hand with the content creation,
Right.
and the real estate thing. So I'll leave it there for now. You might
Right.
talk to me next week, and I might have added other things to the list. Just
Right.
like
And I think it's okay. I mean, because like I said, a lot of my coaching now is self-awareness. And you know yourself, your triggers, the things that bring you joy, and you're still learning that. And so within all of these things that are happening or getting ready to happen, that you are going to show up in it, right? So, and I think that sometimes, because of, what is known as 2020, right? People feel like there is so much uncertainty and there's so much change and there's so much of challenges out there that they don't know, it's like double dutch, where you're like, okay, when am I going to get in? Right? It's like I want to get back in my life, right? Right? It's like let me back in, and really embrace, in this reinvention that, you know we're still figuring it out. Jump in, trip up, and kind of dust yourself off
Get back in.
and go back in. And that is fine, because nothing, everything is temporary. It was one of the words last season. Um, but at the same time, everything is serious and is purposeful. And so how can for me, the question that I have for myself is, how can I embrace that it's all temporary, but it's important, and there's purpose to this.
That's true.
So how can I not neglect the importance and all that other kind of stuff, but don't get so attached to it that it like freaks me out, right? That it kind of stresses me out to a point where it's like I'm sitting in the corner, what's wrong, right? And all that other kind of stuff. And so that the I guess the reinvention of our life, right? Is I guess that's what the journey is be willing to be like, this is who I am today.
Right.
I wonder who I'm going to be tomorrow, and that's okay. Right?
Exactly. But at this point, though, in my 50s, I feel like I have to be very intentional. I mentioned earlier that tomorrow's not promised. And
Mhm.
like you said, too, things start to get overwhelming and you wonder, sometimes where you fit in. And, things are happening, for a reason, and they're happening for a season. And that
Right.
can be overwhelming. You just have to kind of block all that other stuff out and just focus on what's in front of you. Because if you keep looking, you're going to get distracted, and that can throw you off. And I can get distracted because I'll be doing a video or something, editing a video.
Right.
And for the life of me, I don't know why, after I've said it repeatedly, do not bother me when you see my headphones on. They
Right.
will walk in. Do you know where this is? Did
Right.
we pay this bill? Or
Right.
then when I walk away and help someone come back, and I realize I've messed up. So it's like,
Right.
okay, just focus,
Right.
straight ahead.
Right. It's kind of how there's this phenomenon about um you'll see something, right? You'll see something is new, um and then you're like enjoying it and all that other kind of stuff, and then it just disappears, right? And then you no longer see it anymore. And so even though you say, hey, this means universal sign that I'm busy, don't bother me, it's like, oh, okay, we got that. But
But they don't get it. They don't get
it's like, at what point did these become invisible, right? And so now, I guess now you got to add new signs. So when I have the earphones on and I have this on, now that means I'm busy, right?
Well, the
So,
good thing now is I now have an office with a lock on it. So
okay, they're just pounding at the door now, right? It's like, oh boy, that's hilarious. Look, it's I have adult children now, and they're on the other side of the country. There are three of them are in Portland, and one is outside of in Maryland, outside of I guess south of DC and everything. But it's just really, I remember those days of wanting to be needed and wanting people to like just go away, right? Right? It's like, that it's like kind of find something else to do with yourself, right? Right? For an hour, right? Right? And so looking back at the word of reinvention, and let's just make this global, or make this for our society. And so sometimes I just ask big questions. Is that, what do you think the biggest challenge for for our society or for people in general to really embrace um, starting over, beginning again, reinventing, something in their life? What do you think the biggest challenge is?
I think the biggest challenge is the world around us, and that may seem very
Mm,
vague, it really
mm,
isn't. So we have what's going on today.
mhm.
Uh, let me just give you an example. So before, I felt confident that I could go out and just do this. I could just grab the bull by the horns.
Right,
But what's going on in society today, I'm not using the race card, but as a Black woman, it's not
right,
as easy anymore. And
right,
those are some of my challenges. Where I live now is predominantly white
right,
or Caucasian.
right,
So I'm finding, which I've never had a problem with before because I grew up that way,
right,
but I'm finding it more of a challenge now, being a Black woman, being over 50, um, and just the opportunities that were available before, that I felt were available before, because of things like what's going on in the world, non acceptance. So, what I'm finding is there was acceptance,
hmm,
but it was more of tolerance than acceptance.
right. Got it.
But now people are like, well, I've been shown that I don't have to even tolerate it. So
Right,
they're, no, I don't choose you. Don't want to work with you. I don't like you.
right,
Those are the challenges that I am finding. Those are my biggest challenges that I'm finding.
right. Yeah, I have mentioned before that I have an unhealthy relationship with consistency. And how that was showing up is that I would just keep doing something because I started it, even if it wasn't working, even if it wasn't, making me money or anything like that. It's like, okay, I, it's, there's this image that I've had. It's like going down um, the, going the wrong way down a one-way street and realizing that you're on a one-way street, but thinking to yourself, this is how I was thinking, that all right, I'm just going to keep on going until I kind of like figure this out instead of turning around, right? Right? Instead of like finding a way off of this. And I think there are many opportunities that I have had in my life to reinvent myself or really kind of re-up on embracing a new side, a new awareness of myself, that it's like, well, I can't do that because I can't do that because I'm this or that. And I think for me, my biggest challenge is, the conversations that I have around my labels and our labels, and really not being true to myself, but being true to those labels. This is how, a Black man, in his 50s, I'll just say I think I'm 53. Yeah, yeah, 53. Yeah, 53. And this is how their life should be, or this is what it should be. And because it's not that, then there's something wrong. Then, so I have to fit in and figure out what that is. And the more that I've embraced that, it has nothing to do with my age. It has nothing to do with my race. It has nothing to do with all those other labels. It is what am I willing to create? What do I know about, the invention that is William Brown, right? How am I going to reimagine that? Um, and, um, and just work through that. There's a lot of things I've embraced this, and I don't know if this is showing up for you, that there's a lot of things. I use the word crazy, but you might not use this word. Um, Crazy things that I've done in the past that felt like it wasn't connected to anything, but at this point in my life, it's like, oh crap, that's why I did that. Now that makes sense. Okay, now I have access to this information, so now I can talk to these people, or I can do these things. Is there anything in this process of reinventing yourself that you kind of look in places where you kind of devalued in the past, or you didn't see the value of before, that may be helpful to you?
Well, initially, okay, so some of my platforms, not platforms, some of my topics that I use going back to the content creation and the channels that we have is when I first got my granddaughter, we homeschooled.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people homeschool. She was in preschool. We missed the deadline to get her into a program in North Carolina. So I preschooled her at home, fixed up the room, made it a classroom and everything, and just made it so exciting for her to learn.
Right.
So she could be prepared to go into kindergarten. What I did not know then was there is an entire community. Now I knew people homeschool before, but there's
Right.
an entire community, there's an entire world of schooling out there. And so as things started to happen in her school in North Carolina, like the lockdowns, the being bullied and all that kind of stuff, I realized, okay, they have one more time to lock the
Right.
school down, and I'm going to pull her out. Or she went to a school. Now, I have adult children too. They're both grown. They live in Colorado. I've never heard of a Title I school
Hmm.
until my granddaughter started going to school.
Wow.
So, are you familiar with Title I
Yep.
schools?
Hmm.
Okay, so I had no clue. So I enrolled her in this school. She's going to a Title I school. It's mixed, predominantly Black and Hispanic, and most of the Hispanic people there don't speak English. So what I found in her classroom was my granddaughter she's a gifted child, advanced. I forget the terminology for it that they call the school, the children that are advanced in school. So she was taking advanced classes and things like that. But what I
Right.
found in her classroom was that the teacher was having to take time to bring up the people who didn't speak English or the people that were falling behind, while the
Right.
gifted, that's the word, gifted,
Get that.
while the gifted kids kind of were over here by themselves getting not as much instruction, which could have possibly made them fall and fail, while the teacher who has 18 to 20 people in their class to bring those up. So I said,
Right.
no, I need to make sure she retains this gifted status. So I
Right.
took her out and decided to homeschool. So I started looking at these resources and I thought, okay, not only did I miss, God had me miss that deadline on purpose back
Hmm.
when she was in preschool. He was preparing me
Hmm.
for having, because we've been homeschooling for the last 2 years.
Right. Wow.
So I'm seeing all these resources that people have in homeschooling their children. And there's many different ways that people homeschool. I tend to go with the traditional school calendar year subjects and add on to that, because there are things that in public school they don't teach. She learns home economics in elementary. They don't do that normally
Hmm.
elsewhere. She
Right.
learns how to sew. She knows how to cook. She knows we're going to be taking self-defense. She's going to know how to shoot a gun here shortly. So
Right.
there's different, yeah. So there's different things that she won't learn in school that we've been teaching. She's dissected frogs. We're going to dissect the shark this year. So you
Oh.
know um, that I'm realizing now. Whoa, this is what you were preparing me for,
Hmm.
and this may go on. I've said that we're going to put her in public school in 6th grade, which is this fall. However, if there's any bullying, if
Right.
there's any left behind in the classroom, or if there's any school shootings, whatever, she's coming right back out and we're going to homeschool through
Right.
high school. So I see now what he was preparing me for.
Right. It's kind of, and I really appreciate that story, because it comes down to choices, right? Being willing to reinvent yourself, or your life, is options. Most of the times we don't. I'll speak for myself. There was a large percentage of my life that I felt like I didn't have any options, so there wasn't any reinvention. There wasn't anything. There wasn't any growing. There wasn't any learning. I was just kind of, this is what I need to do. This is how it is. This is my life, type of thing. And I had no say. And so, what you were sharing is that it's like, what, we're going to do it traditional, but if we need to rethink this, if we need to reimagine the education, we got the tools, we got the time. we can figure it out, and then we can make it happen. And I think the more that we look at our lives that way, then we can reduce the level of suffering that happens in in our life. Because for me, suffering feels like is that holding on. It's like, really, this is not working, but I am going to hold on to kind of fix it, to kind of make this. And that letting go, the compassionate let go, of things, will really cause you to, you know, figure it out. Have that opportunity to really exercise those choices. A lot of times we talk about, we're free to do this and that, and but then we don't exercise our freedom.
It's closed up here. Yeah.
Right. We say that we're free, but we're not free at all. And wow. And so it's interesting that you said how it's, God caused you to miss the deadline on purpose, to say, to let you know that you can do this, right? You don't have to wait this. And you got some more in there too, right? So yeah, so that is great. um yeah, is there there's a part of me that's like, I know there is something else that I want to like bring into this conversation, but it's like, I think we're kind of we're kind of there. There's like a lot of things have been said, and a lot of things have been shared to really causing me to, sometimes uh my podcast label is like, okay, you gotta, have another powerful question or something to keep it going or anything like that. And it's like, no, this is the conversation, and it's what it is. Is there anything that you want to leave, everybody with?
Well, as it pertains to reinvention, a lot of people, you were saying just what you were saying a minute ago, you feel like, you're free, but you don't really go out and do anything. And I think that's a
Right.
combination of being comfortable and a combination of fear. But you have to kind to, again, focus and don't let all this out here, because there are so many things out there that will have us believe that, okay, you can't do this, you shouldn't
Right.
do this. That can include the outside world, your family, your friends. If God knows, if you're on social media a lot, you have so much that's discouraging you. I just get off social media first of all.
Right.
But you know just focus. If you want to do it. Now, one thing that you have to understand, a lot of people don't realize, is that if you want something, you're going to have to work for it. It's not going to
Right.
come now. Some things come easily to some people. That's just the luck of the draw. However, a lot of things you're going to have to work for if you really want it. So go
Right.
out and look for the resources. And I've always said this way back when I got my first client, and the internet was prevalent. People spend so much time on the internet doing, cute cat
Right.
photos. Now they're doing the TikTok and this and that. And there is so much valuable information,
Right.
because, people say, well, I have a budget. I can't afford that. I can't afford that. Or what they tell me is, you're too expensive. No, I'm not too expensive. You just can't afford me.
Right.
But, and that's okay. That's
Right.
okay. But there are so many, and it's I've gone on this homeschool journey as well, and I've talked to different homeschool moms who said, I don't know what to do, especially when the pandemic hit. What
Right.
am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I started like, look, here are free resources before you start paying for anything,
Right.
because I get trial and error. I spent thousands of dollars my first year, and I
Right.
realized I use the free resources or the low cost resources more. So go on the internet, do some
Right.
research, talk to people that are, let's say, in the field that you want to be in. So I mentioned real estate earlier. So if you want to be in real estate, find somebody that's in real estate that's willing to talk to you, to tell you what it entails, to because you might realize that it's not exactly what you want to do. I said
Right.
earlier, I wanted the glam and the glitz of it until I talked to someone and realized everything
Right.
that's involved, and I don't want to do all that. So,
Right.
I would rather do the back end. So research and research, excuse me, talk to people in those fields and put yourself around like-minded people. What you don't want to do is get yourself involved in negativity, because people can get in your head,
Mm,
voluntarily or non-voluntarily, and tell you that you can't do this.
right,
And you might not be able to do it, but it is up to you to decide whether you can do it or not. It's not for someone else to decide, oh, you
right,
can't do that. You're crazy. Why did you stop doing this? And why did you stop doing that? That is up
right.
to you and God. With the help of God, you can do all things. But research, and that's one thing I've always said. I don't know if you even remember me telling you several times, when you wrote your first book,
Right,
research, research, research. You have to
right.
always do that. There's information. So we get on social media, which is a time suck. Before you know it, you're watching TikTok videos. You're involved in the latest political Facebook battles, and that can take up to 2 hours. Think of all the information, all the
Mm,
value you could have put into the reinvention of what you are doing. And I want to tell people who are over 50, who are like, okay, I have a channel called The Other Side of the Dash. That's my
mm,
other channel that I'm diving into. And it's
right.
about all things women, although men are included, all
Okay.
things women, on this side of the dash, because you and I, Bill, we are on the other side
Other
of our
side
dash.
of the dash, right?
As African Americans, we are really on the other side of our dash, because we don't live as long as our other brothers and sisters. So, um, you know, we have to really make it count. Now is not the time to say, even though we're recycling each day, now is not the time to say, I don't know if I can do that. I'm too scared. But what if? But what if? But what if not? Just just do it. Just do it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that is definitely great, and I think it starts with that awareness of self, right? It
It really is.
starts with, like, sitting quiet, and figuring out, and then just doing it. Thank you very much for being a part of this conversation. Hopefully, you'll have a couple minutes to sit and so we can say our goodbyes within the green room. But
Okay. Thank you for
uh,
having me.
this has been great. Thank you. Oh, reinvention. Where is that showing up in your life? What can you look at today and say, you know what? I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to be that anymore. I can um, I can be something else. I can show up differently in this relationship or this way at work. And I think it really does start with an awareness of yourself and what's important to you. I think many times we have the feeling that there is more to our life. There is um, there is something greater. But when we're not showing up that way, we feel frustrated and sometimes even angry. I've been there, and disappointed with myself. But I'm inviting you to text Let's Chat, to the number, so we can have a conversation. So I can help you unleash your powers, your strength, the things that are important to you, those dreams that that are within you that you don't think that are possible. They are possible. So let's chat about that. I hope this conversation brought value to your day and your life, because you're important and you are purpose, and you can reinvent you. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, but the world isn't waiting for you. So go be you. I'll see you tomorrow on One Word Conversations. Have a great day.